All right, Periscope, you are live, so just hold on. We're going to have to get you situated. All right, just hold on here. And let me move you over. And let's try it from about right there. Oh, let's see how this is going to work out. All right, that looks good. And let me move this. Wow, this is one heavy dude. All right, here we go. All right, let me get you up here on Facebook. Hold on. All right, we got to get this lined up here and go to our site, Norman Etker. All right, and that's going to be God's Spokesman.com. All right, and we're still running some ads here, man. I tell you, them pop-ups will get you. Okay. Let's see. I can't spell this morning. Nothing new here. Alright, let's see. Hit the right key. Let's do this. Okay. And let's see how this works out. Alright. Oh, shoot. I'm in the wrong. Sorry, folks. Typed the wrong thing. Alright, let's see what that does. Okay. Alright, we are up to go. Hey, hi there, Periscope. Wait up a minute. We got to get lined up here on Facebook Live. And it's going there, and let's connect to our internet station. Radio, that is. Alright, we're ready to go. Hey there, internet radio station. This is Protestant Christian Missionary Norman Etker. Back again at you guys today. Today's what? I don't know. What is it? Let's see. The 28th of March. Alright. So, hey, hi there. I didn't catch what you said up there, Periscope. Sorry. You have to retweet it, man. You have to rechat it. Alright. Alright, I'm broadcasting from Missouri. That's in the middle of the U.S. for you folks that don't know where it's at. This morning, as usual, we're broadcasting on 3 streams again. Periscope and Facebook and our internet radio station at GodSpokesman.com. These 3 streams are going out live this morning. So let me give you some stats. As of yesterday, we've had 29,947 views on Periscope. On Periscope, we've had 250,000 hearts. A little bit more than that. 253,911 hearts on Periscope so far. We started broadcasting on Facebook last month. Live videos, we've had 594 views so far. On YouTube, at Norman Etker, you can see my name back here, Norman Etker, you can Google it. And at YouTube, our videos were at 18,479. 18,479 views on that. And I tell you folks, what I've been talking about, it's been the same subject every day. Now, a lot of guys, you listen to internet radio, man, they'll pump the music at you, and that's it. Okay? I don't need your money. That's one thing. So I can pretty much speak my mind to you, since I don't need you like other people need you, as far as advertising, money, and all that kind of stuff. The message I have is one that probably the great majority that listen to me don't like it. And and I'm not sure, but you'll be surprised that the message I have is a message that's been, it's the same message that's been going on for millennials. The same message. Repent and turn to God. Or you're going to go to hell. 1,000 years ago, it was the same message. 2,000 years ago, it's the same message. 3,000 years ago. Alright? It's the same message. It hasn't changed. What has changed is groups of people come into power. Alright? And you know the history. We slaughtered the Indians and took over here, right? It's terrible. All right, and that's the real story here, folks. Of course, the Indians got their pound of flesh too. They're a little more barbaric than we were. But death is death. Once you're dead, you're dead. That's it. It makes no difference. Somebody scalping you, skinning you alive, or cutting your head off. You're dead, you're dead. Some can be a little less painful, but death is death. And the subject I talk about all the time is about that which happens when you suck in that last breath of air in your little physical life. We've got people that die every day. I know of cases right now. People are dying right now that I know about. And my hands are absolutely tied that I can't share, that they can hear the gospel message of salvation. You know, everyone talks about this freedom of speech and all of that, but when it really comes down to, when you're, very few millennials have no idea what death is about. Generation X know that they've experienced something. Hey, hi, yeah, I got my dummy. There's two of them. This is Mr. Dodo, he's my main dummy. And you that watch me are number 2 dummy. I've been waiting for you dummies, alright? They always return. You guys always come back because you know I'm telling the truth. And I know I'm telling the truth. You know why? Because Mr. Dodo here tells me these guys are dummies. Am I right, Mr. Dodo? See that? So you guys are wrong. He knows, all right? And he's a dumb metal bird. But he's got more sense than a lot of you guys got, all right? But anyway, we're talking about death. And I'm not sure how I calculate about death, because I'm nuts about certain things. I can remember before I became a Christian, I had no fear about dying. That wasn't either I thought I could never die or whatever. I guess most young people think that way. But then I began to see death, and I still couldn't understand it. It's almost like I thought it could happen to everybody else, but not to me. You know, if that makes any sense. And then I became a Christian, and then when you are supernaturally changed by the power of God, and only those that have been spiritually born again know what I'm talking about. If you haven't been spiritually born again, you're absolutely clueless about what I'm talking about. You have no idea. You can only look afar, as they say, because you can't understand it. There's no way you can understand what God actually does for someone. You can't understand it. Not unless you've been supernaturally changed on the inside, in your mind too. You can't fake it. Okay, a lot of people try, Okay, the only time you ever hear about people really getting born again is in some kind of fantastic court case where they go to jail and they've been born again, right? Well, they've been born again, all right, to the knowledge that if they keep it up, they might get sympathy, all right? But anyway, neither here nor there. As a Christian, as a missionary for these past 40 years, I've been in places that other missionaries refuse to go because they to give you an example, in northwest Thailand, we went up the Himalayan mountains back in the 70s to the Hmong Hill tribe people, and they actually, other missionaries have been there half their lives, told us if we go up in them Himalayan mountains, we're going to die, they're going to kill us. It wasn't just the opium warlords, it was communists and bandits too on the way through, up through the mountain, shall we say. But you know the supernatural power of God, and again, you guys, you can't understand that. But it's like you're protected. You have full knowledge of what's going on, but this fear is not this mortal fear, this fear that'll lock you up. And I can tell you stories about that as a Christian too, because I've had that too. Absolutely locked up in fear. And man, that's a terrible, dreadful thing. It happened to me one time in my life. And to this day, I believe I understand the ramifications that happen in my life. But I think every now and again you get a wake-up call who you really are. So if you think you're getting kind of big for your britches, as they say, the Lord's got a way to kind of take the slack out, shall we say. But anyway, as a Christian missionary, I've been in a lot of places. Reynosa, Mexico, violent murder and killing. They were cutting people's heads off in Reynosa, Mexico. Hanging body parts off of bridges. It wasn't for some religious thing. It was the cartels doing it to people that posted on Facebook and YouTube negative things about the drug cartels and the Zeta gangs. Mexico is total corruption. Don't ever think there's law and order in Mexico. You live in fairyland if you think going to Mexico is a safe environment. You're nuts. The drug cartels run the resorts. Every resort in Mexico is by a drug cartel backing money. That's how that country makes it, the middle class. And they're paying them drug dealers big time money back to get that money, that seed money. Alright? Corruption. Pay this guy. Everybody does. Everybody pays. It's the same thing in Asia. It's one big bribery. Ponzi scheme. That's all it is. And it's everywhere. It's not. It's everywhere. Okay. The United States like to call it dignified, but they do the same thing. Take these guys out on trips and everything. Pay for this, pay for that. Just a little bribery. Same old, same old. Yes, we got laws about it. Yes, but hey. It goes on, and always will go on. You know why? Because we're evil people. So anyway, I'm talking about death. So now, 40 years as a Protestant Christian missionary, I too was brought to death's door. In a real way. I was laying up in the ICU, and they told me to call my family in. Because I had shut down. And I can remember folks laying there, and I still had that same goofy, silly idea. What am I doing here? I got things to do. I was no more afraid of dying than a man in the moon, because I knew I wasn't going to die. Because God's got a plan and purpose in my life yet. And what the part I can remember distinctly saying was, why do I have to go through this? Man, it took me months to be able to get back up on my feet and function in a halfway decent way. My mouth was working. You guys can probably tell. But not my physical body so much. Selma tells me all the time, well, if someone had been through all the junk you've been through in your life, they'd be below the ground, not above it. And I have to agree, my body's been in some punishing situations. Now, I don't say that, for sympathy, because you guys wouldn't give it to me much anyway, would you? Come on, tell the truth. Nah, it's okay. When I leave this old planet, I'm going to take that big, suck in that big heavenly breath when I take the second breath after death in my new spiritual body. And everything that I understand here, I reckon I'll still know about, but I'll be in a different dimension. I'll be in my glorified body. And the only thing that will be really important, I think, is if I understand the scriptures right, is that God's precious love that forgave and filled me with His precious Holy Spirit will be there vividly, 3D, in person, walking in the brightness of His love. Can you imagine a power so powerful that it emanates the greater light than the sun? Just think about that. You've looked at them little old flashlights. They're proud to be in my light. And there's, they've taken pictures of human beings too. Now, hear me out, now don't be jumping and gun here, but they have what they call the aurora around a person. I think it's static electricity that emanates from our body. We got electric in us, right? It's jumping back and forth, keeping us alive. The cells is positive and negative. There's electricity running around us all the time. Well, that emanates, and they got certain lights that can show this light. It's like a little ring around your body. All right? It's just a little blight, a little glow. And they call that the aurora around a human being. And you can see it. I've seen pictures of them, Now, some goofballs up there, they want to state that, that's some kind of cosmic force communicating on. That's just garbage, okay? Simple as that. It's about like taking an x-ray. Look at an x-ray, you can see the bone, you can see the dark skin around there, okay? So, same way with this aurora. But could you imagine, I know you can't, but imagine if you saw a human being, that when you came upon this human being, the light from him would be so, or her would be so intense that you couldn't be brighter than the sun. Well, you couldn't take that as a human, so you'd have to be some kind of spiritual intimate, what's the word I'm looking for? Entity, to be able to be in the midst of that kind of light. All right? So, I had just a little thought there. I thought you guys might want to hear that. But imagine what that would be like in this light, this glorious light. There's a lot of scriptural reference to the light of the gospel, But that light illuminates God to you. Light opens the door. Light gives you freedom to see where to go and what to do. And that's what, when you become spiritually born again, you're in that light. And you can see things clearly for what they really are. And I've said this many times myself before. I see also I forgot to change my date on my radio audio. I have a backup system on my internet radio, right? And so every day you got to change that date, and it makes an audio file of everything I say. And puts it in an MP3 format. But you know something? Playing around, wait till the last moment again this morning. I forgot to change that date. I see that thing recording. I was trying to record over the top of another one. It's going to record two. Yesterday and today is on one audio file, which will be humongous. But let's hope we can break it down, huh? So anyway, when you become spiritually born again, this light, this love comes to you. All right? It's from God. He's that light. He's the light of the world. And I can remember distinctly, I guess it was like, within the first months of being spiritually born again. I never read the Bible, never went to other churches. I didn't know nothing. And I can remember the first and greatest revelation I had about myself. This old sinner man, now regenerated by the power of the blood of Jesus Christ and the atoning work of the cross. And here I was, and I can remember distinctly the knowledge that for all of my adult life, for 28 years, I always thought I was in control of my life and my destiny. You've heard that old stuff, right? But you know who was really running my life? Satan, the devil. And you know how Satan does it? He'll keep you as far away from the truth of the gospel message of Christ as he can. Most today, you know how the devil deceives most today? He gives them a counterfeit, meaningless religion to follow, and then convince them that they're Christians, that they're evangelicals. Absolute lying devil controls the Protestant Christian churches. The Protestant Christian churches are no more about the saving knowledge of Jesus Christ. They got their own agenda, folks. Every one of them have got their own ideas. And you can bet your boots on one thing, it all centers around making money. You listen, I saw a program about the old Amish Mennonite. These cult followers are so deceived and blinded they can't even follow a horse straight. But you know what their big thing was? You know what the big program was on PSB or PSB or whatever you call Public Station Broadcasting? PBS. You know what their big deal was on this program? How to make money without using so much electric. That's what it was about, making money. You understand? That's what it's all about in the so-called religious world. It's all about building big buildings and getting money and being a lukewarm gospel message that anybody can say, okay, I'll do this, this is not hard. I can remember 40 years ago, I walked into Assembly God Church out of Springfield, Missouri, in this old here in St. Charles, Missouri. 40 years ago, I walked into the church. I was single. And I walked into the church. It's right there in my neighborhood. Walked into the church, went to the Sunday school. And this after I'm saved now. I listened to the Sunday school teacher, man, he was right on target, all right? Isn't that strange how sometimes you go to Sunday school teachers, he's got more on the ball than the pastor, man. But anyway, the church service started, right? They get down there singing and shouting. And here come a lady walking into the congregation. She walks right up the middle aisle and sits down in the front somewhere, 3 or 4 from the front row. And she paraded down that aisle, and she was wearing a mini skirt. All right? A mini skirt. Not a short skirt, a mini skirt. Walked right into that church house, this so-called Trinity Pentecostals, right? The Assemblies of God out of Springfield, Missouri. She plopped her little self down. And the preacher man, you know what he began talking about? He began talking about how women should dress. I believe she was a plant, to tell you the truth, but I don't know for sure. Just my gift of suspicion working here. But he went on and on and on about, well, it didn't matter what the woman wore, it was in the eyes of the beholder, he'd say. And he's preaching along, and I stood up right in the middle of that service. I stood right up and yelled out about where's holiness when a woman's half naked walking into a church service. Well, needless to say, them boys didn't like that at all. So, you know, them big old usher men, they come right up to me. And out the front door I went. Now, this little church house was right in my neighborhood. And you understand, they don't care about holiness, they don't care about nothing. And this same little pathetic little religious group is still here in this town, still the biggest hypocrites you ever seen belong to this group. And the people that left this group started their own little hypocrite groups. I remember I went to one of the leaders of that group. He split off from it and joined another one. And so they invited me to this church. So I went to this church, and they had a financial meeting, and they wanted everybody to come. So I went to this financial meeting too. So they had their PowerPoint presentation keyed up, and they threw a colored pie chart up on the screen. You know, the screen's about 100 foot across in the church house. No, it wasn't that big, but it was big. It was a pie chart. And here, in the pie chart, the red area represented 87% of the pie was a red area. And the other part, 13% was representing the church. Maintenance, taxes, utilities, water bill, electric bill, all right, and incidentals. But of the entire yearly budget, 87% went to the pastor. And that pastor was right there. He flashed that up on the screen, and I tell you, I was sitting there, I was floored, because normally it don't take that much. It'll take 50-60% of the haul. You know, that's how it works. The more people you bring in, the more money, so you get a bigger cut. And that's what they negotiate on. It's not about, oh, the Lord called me to come here. That's a line, boy. That's the biggest bold-faced lie. You hear one church after and say, yeah, God called me to this church. I've been here. I'm coming here because God wouldn't to come here because of them bucks. And if they're going in a downward spiral, they'll accept something, anything, just as long as you keep that money coming in. You understand, it's just a money-grubbing business, and that's all it's about. And if that old pastor man's got some wife and children, the stakes go up even higher. Because he's got to show everybody else he's going to have that new car, new house. He's got to have everything because they're in the Old Testament. The Assemblies of God are the Old Testament people. They believe in prosperity. Man, if you're right with God, God's going to bless your life. You're going to be the rich man. And I tell you, I've stumbled on this goofy doctrine they have for so long. When I had 5 tours in Asia in these past 40 years and 7 years in New Mexico. And folks, the world is plumb full of poor folk. It's not rich folks. It's not middle class folks. It's poor folks. All over the continent. And even people in the heart of London, they are poor even though they're making thousands of dollars a month because they don't have nothing because they got to pay out everything they got to everything to survive. So you got the rich poor folk, all right? Poor folk richies, is that a new word? Poor richies. That's not living. That's bondage, right? And the poor folk. And so when I hear these Assembly of God people talking about, and that's what they do, folks. These guys are cowards. They always want to take a look at you. What do you got? How big's your ministry? How's this? How's that? They could care less if God's anointed you to preach the gospel, and they don't care about that. They're not interested in that. They want to see you flash the wealth, man. Hey, come on. You wear them gold watches and necklaces and rings and everything. Keychains hanging down the side of your pants so everybody can see them hanging out. You're cool, man. And they'll let you on in there. But you come up that pulpit raggedy tag, man, they ain't gonna want nothing. They don't want to be like that because they think they're the chosen people of God. That Christian is the chosen people of God, and they got to be rich. If you're not rich because you're an old sinner, man. And folks, let me tell you, the world's chock full of poor people. They all can't be all wrong, right? A great part of them are billions. But there's people that love the Lord Jesus and they don't have any money. Hello, one right here. Okay, hello, wake up. Alright, so I was going to talk to you. Let me get a sip of coffee here. My wife's coming on 11 o'clock. Got about 40 minutes before she comes on. Now, I know some of you folks don't like it when I drink coffee because that coffee's evil, right? Get over it. Alright, here we go. This is to my so-called Christians. I want to read you something. I made a file for this one piece of paper right here. Okay, it's my file. Would you like to know the name of the file? It's called Elijah Mocking. I don't know if you guys know what that means or not, but you probably don't. Elijah was a prophet man. Alright, this prophet man was a cool dude. Alright. And one day in his life, which hundreds of thousands of years ago now, people worship what they call Baal. It's the same thing. That's where a lot of the Islamic truths come from. Baal, you know, all of that, all the evil is right there in Iraq. I can't even think of the name of the capital again. Okay, but anyway, it's evil. The whole area, the history is evil, all right? Heathen gods, everything. That whole area, right there, them cities that we're fighting in and all that, exactly. Well, isn't that something? My mind is blank. Okay, well, anyway. There you had a god they called Baal. I'll say Baal because I think that's how you pronounce it. B-A-A-L. Baal or Baal. Alright, so. Whatever floats your boat on that one, okay? So, one day, there was a showdown between Elijah the prophet man of God and these priests of Baal.
And so there was a little challenge. Elijah and the Baal, the prophets of Baal. And who was going to answer, who was going to be the greater God, or who was stronger, or who was going to answer, who was going to demonstrate the power of Baal or the God of Elijah. And I want to read you a verse, and this is what I loved, and I just love this Elijah. He's a cool dude, man. And this is in, I guess, yeah, 1 Kings, all right, 18th chapter, 26th verse. I think that's correct. Then they took the ox which was given them, and they prepared it and called on the name of Baal from the morning until noon, saying, now this is the priest of Baal, they killed an oxen and offered it as a sacrifice to their God. If my memory serves me correct, they want the fire to come down and start that dead beast on fire as an acceptable offering to this Baal god. Now Elijah's right there. It's a challenge between him and Elijah. All right, these Baal people and Elijah. So they cut up the ox, put it on the altar, and they called on their god named Baal from morning to noon. Now, I imagine that was about, I would say, good 5 or 6 hours. These guys are praying hard. All right? And it's not just one. There was a mess of them. 50 plus guys. And only one, Elijah. Again, Elijah's a cool dude, man. All right? And then they cried out, these Baal priests, "Oh, Baal, answer us," it states. But there was no voice, and no one answered. And they leaped, these Baal priests leaped about the altar which they had made. All right? Jumping around on the altar, calling Baal, their God. Now listen to this verse. Verse 27. 1 Kings 18. It came about at noontime that Elijah mocked them. Hey, hi Charles, down there on Facebook again. See you come back, man. You can't get enough of me, huh? It came about at noon that Elijah mocked them and said, "Call out with a loud voice, for he is a god," this is Baal, right? "Either he is occupied or gone aside, or is he on a journey? Or perhaps he is asleep and needs to be awakened." This is Elijah mocking these priests of Baal. So these priests of Baal, what did they do? They cried with a loud voice and cut themselves according to their custom with swords and lances, until the blood gushed out of them. In the end, Elijah prayed, and the fire from God came down and destroyed all of that. And Elijah killed all them priests. Don't mess with God, because you don't want to go down that road. You know, a lot of people make a real serious mistake. And I would say the greatest of, and I've said this for a long time in my life, that the greatest offenders, I wonder why I'm not hearing my voice. I wonder if my, let me see something, folks. I'm not hearing my voice now that I think about it. Hold on, let me see if I'm getting through here. No, I should be on here. Let me open up my browser and let's go to our station, make sure everything is working here. Okay, hold on a second, folks. Alright, so let's see. Okay, things are loading. Let's see. We're going to hear it now if it's on. Alright. We should be hearing something. And we're not hearing anything. Well, I'm not sure, folks, what's happening here. Our voice should be streaming live on our internet radio. And let me see here. Let's open up here. And let's see what's going on there. And let me see. Okay, let me see. Well, I don't hear nothing. So for some reason we're not broadcasting through to our radio station. Alright, well, we'll just have to let the, I should have recognized this happening. Alright, well, let's take a look here at our options. Let's go into Winamp and go to our preferences and go to our Shoutcast. And let's see, make sure, yeah, we're broadcasting. And yes, looks like everything should be working, but it's not working. Alright. So it looks like we're broadcasting only on Periscope and Facebook Live. I don't hear my voice here, so we know that that's an issue. And it should be working. Alright. But it's not, so, alright. But anyway, let's get back to the story then. Alright, let me turn this off. Let me pull this plug. And let me go ahead and turn off our radio output, for obviously it's not working. Alright, so let's close that up. Let's do that. And let's go ahead and close Winamp. Alright. Now, and let me go ahead and turn off our radio output for
on a special trip like that.
Alright, well, we were broadcasting.
The real tragedy is he was never spiritually born.
Oh, I guess I just need, I know what happened. I had uploaded and forgot to reboot my system. Alright, so it was broadcasting. So, alright, so we're good to go, folks. So anyway, about what I'm talking about, Elijah mocked those guys, and that today, do you know why you never hear anyone? And I've been at this business 40 years, and I never really hear, except from the cults, the Roman Catholic cult, devil cult, a Mormon cult, Jehovah's Witness cult, all these different cults. But I never hear the Christians always want to say these flowery love kind of thing. God loves you, let's all get along, let's all love each other. You've heard that kind of talk, right? And maybe maybe a bunch of you guys think that's what God ought to be like. Just love is all, man. Accept is the way we've been, what we want to do. But God's not like that. Alright? You ever wonder why we're so bullheaded and rebellious? You ever asked yourself, why don't you, I'm not talking about going to some church building with the cross on the top. I'm talking about you privately, why you don't want to spend time with God. I mean, just stop what you're doing in your life and just think about God. You ever wonder why you don't want to think about God? You know the old Buddhist guy in Thailand, they got a ritual in Thailand. I guess it's the same here. It's the same old thing. But as you know, or might not know, but the people in Thailand, that is a alcoholic, drunken country. There's more alcoholism than there's ants in Thailand. Alcoholism is epidemic in Thailand. The government gives the breweries exorbitant tax write-offs and benefits, and probably the government owns a lot of it too, or ministers of it. When you keep somebody drugged up, drunked up, they don't cause a problem. We were in a little town, and there was a fire station, and we're talking about Thailand now. There was a fire station across the street from our house, our mission house. And there was at least 4 men and their wives that lived there, okay? And they had an old dilapidated fire truck. They never use it because there's hardly any fires in the little town there in Thailand. And we'd have English Bible classes every night, Bible study, whatever, something always going on. And they were right across the street. And we rented that mission house, well, I think maybe a couple years, all right. We weren't there all the time, but we still paid the rent on the building. But for a solid year anyway, every night them people got drunk. The men drunk, I mean drunk. Every night. And the women would drink a little, but they wouldn't get drunk like these men. Crank the music up, yelling, you know how drunks are, loudmouth. That's just drunks, you know. Every night. And everywhere in Thailand, the whole thing is let's have a party. And the tourist business comes there, and tourist business is, billions with a B, boy, dollars into Thailand. And that's just one drunken mess. Drunk. All it is, everybody drinks and gets drunk. It's the same thing in the United States. You ever watch TV? The only place that people can get along is in a drunken, puking, smelling bar. You understand? It's just filthy, degraded, debased, but Hollywood glorifies it. The only way you can have communities in a stinking, drunked up, stupefied group of people that are drunk. And if the cops would do their job, could arrest every one that come out of there and gets behind the wheel of a car because they're legally drunk. But nobody does anything, just lets them get in their car and have a wreck and then say, oh, isn't that guy terrible? And the police and mayor and everybody in the town knows that every bar that's open after 2 o'clock in the morning or all night or whatever, they know without a doubt that everybody walks out of there in the half middle of the night and gets behind a car with a wheel knows that, or get behind the wheel of a car, they know they're drunk and they just let them go. Then when they kill somebody, oh, terrible, terrible. It's the police, they don't do it. I'd like to see somebody sue the police chief and mayor. I mean personally, take them to the cleaners for death by drunk driving. And then sue the cop that's working that shift, that's at his beat, that bar, wherever he's at. And if he'd known that the people are drunk coming out, why he didn't stop them? To me, that's fault. Negligent. But that's just me. Now probably have the police sitting out in front of my house if they ever hear this tape. In Thailand, in Mexico, that's what they did. The Transito police parked right out in front of my place in the street. They did that for about a month when I first got there. Come down the street and stop right in front of my little apartment house I was in. Well, it was a house. Little bitty old house amidst all the rest of these little bitty houses. Stop right in front of me. In my house. Never come to the door, but just stop. They want me to know they were watching me. Man, I had a Homeland Security clearance. I had more background checks than you can even imagine. I was the only white guy there. I was the only gringo. I was the only guy who went into the prison. White guy in the prison in Reynosa. I was there 7 years, folks. Every Saturday for a solid year, I went in that prison. I was the only white guy going in there. I had English and Spanish, English Bible classes every week. Evil. People, it's just evil. Evil's everywhere, folks. The church is filled up, the so-called Christian church is filled up with it. Don't get involved with any of the churches. You need to set aside the time, read the New Testament writings of Jesus. Don't run to somebody and say, would you explain this to me? I don't understand. I'm so stupid. I can't do anything. Get over it. You have a brain. God doesn't make junk. I don't care if you got a second grade education and the same mentality. You can love Jesus and love His Word. If even you can't read it and somebody reads it to you, you can love it. That's the power of God. He's the transformational power. Not the way you present some kind of gospel message according to your own opinion. Is that right, Dodo Bird? Yes, he says yes. Some guys got this thing that it's how you got to present this message so people will come back and come back and come back. Well, why didn't preacher man want you to come back to their little building with the cross on the top to separate you from your money? It's always about the money. Don't ever think it's anything else with that. They don't care if you die and go to hell. They'll be a little sad, but they're more sad about your money not coming into the coffers every week or month, whenever. Alright. Enough of that church bashing business, as usual. Alright? Look, today, if you can remember one, it's about death. It's coming for everyone. It's not going to pass you by, millennials. My wife, Selma, talked about it too. I was listening to her broadcast, but what's so sad about listening to my own wife is that I remember and I know people just don't care. They just don't even care. Why do you think people join these other religions and all this? The Buddhists, Hindus, the Mormons, the Roman Catholic, being Amish. You think they care about God? They don't care about God. They're doing what they think is right in their own eyes. They are the Baal people of our generation today, 2017. Worship any kind of God. I posted on Instagram a thing about the Asian theologies. They want to come across like they're refined and educated and got this gospel message understood. They're the devil church. Asian theologies linked arm with European theologies, arm in arm with American theologies, are the theologies of Baal, of the devil. All Protestant so-called Christian religionist churches, all of them, if they're following the church doctrine, traditions, and all, that's devilish. It has nothing to do with you being spiritually born again. It's about keeping you and your money in that church. And that's what it's all about. One day you're going to have to read the word yourself, and you're going to have to say, Lord, forgive me. I'm telling you the truth, folks. As long as I got breath in my body, I'm going to be saying the same thing to you every day. It's never going to change. It's always going to be the same message. So I expect eventually I won't have any followers on Periscope. I won't have any on Facebook. Because you're going to hear my name and pop on that video. You're going to say, I know what this guy's going to talk about, me going to hell. And that's right, because that's where you're headed if you don't change. And the only way you're going to get saved and not go to hell is when you're going to have to be sincere and get right with the Lord. That means, Lord, I'm sorry for my sins. I want Jesus as my Lord, and I will obey His teachings as I read them and understand them. Not what somebody tells you they think they mean, or their interpretation, or whatever. Don't believe anybody. Don't believe me. Nothing. Nobody. Don't believe your mommy, daddy, children, grandchildren. Don't believe nobody. You're going to read the Word. You're going to read. Look, I tell you what. I challenge you to open up that New Testament right now. Open up. First book is Matthew. Look at that 18th verse and tell me if you believe it. Amen. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Selma's coming on in 15 minutes. So we're gonna go off first here on Facebook. So Facebook, you know, say goodbye. See you tomorrow, Lord willing. Alright, there we go. We're off the air. Bingo. Alright. Periscope, let's get you now. Alright. Have to reach up here.